They said my intelligence was luck, but I proved with the facts that I was right.
They called her intelligence just luck. She proved them wrong with facts. Dr. Maya Patterson stared at the email on her computer screen, reading the same devastating words for the fourth time. After careful review, we have decided to reassign the lead researcher position on Project Genesis to Dr. Stevens. We appreciate your contributions to the preliminary work, and we're confident that Dr. Stevens will benefit from the lucky breakthroughs you've achieved so far. Lucky breakthroughs. Maya felt her hands trembling with a mixture of rage and disbelief. 3 years of groundbreaking research, dozens of peer-reviewed publications, and revolutionary algorithms that had already saved the company millions of dollars, all dismissed as luck. The project that she had conceived, developed, and brought to the brink of a major breakthrough was being taken away from her and handed to a white male colleague who had joined the team just 6 months earlier. Maya closed her laptop and looked around the sterile research lab where she had spent countless nights perfecting her work. At 32 years old, she held a PhD in data science from MIT, had developed predictive algorithms that were reshaping how the tech industry approached machine learning, and had solved problems that had stumped some of the brightest minds in the field. But apparently, none of that mattered when the people in charge couldn't believe that a black woman could possess the level of intelligence required for true innovation. This is the story of how Dr. Maya Patterson faced the most challenging moment of her career and used pure, undeniable facts to prove that genius has no color, and that the most dangerous assumption in any field is believing that excellence can only come from those who look like what we expect brilliance to look like. If you value real stories of resilience and want to be part of a community that believes in the power of overcoming adversity, subscribe to the Resilience channel. Here, every story is a testament that it's possible to conquer any obstacle. Maya had always been the smartest person in the room, even when she was the only black face in that room. Growing up in Detroit, Michigan, she was the daughter of a librarian mother and an auto worker father, who had both recognized their daughter's exceptional gifts early on. While other children played video games, Maya was building computers from spare parts and teaching herself programming languages from library books. Her mother, Dr. Ruth Patterson, held a master's degree in library science and had spent her career helping underprivileged students access educational resources. She recognized that Maya's intellectual curiosity was extraordinary, even by the standards of the gifted children she worked with daily. Maya doesn't just learn information, Ruth would tell teachers and counselors. She sees patterns that others miss. She understands how systems work in ways that most adults struggle with. Maya's father, James Patterson, worked on the assembly line at Ford Motor Company, but he had always been mechanically gifted. He spent his evenings teaching Maya how machines worked, how to troubleshoot problems, and most importantly, how to approach complex challenges systematically. The key to solving any problem, he would tell his daughter, is to break it down into smaller pieces, understand each piece completely, and then see how they fit together. Most people give up when they can't see the whole picture at once. Those lessons would prove invaluable throughout Maya's academic career. In elementary school, she was already solving math problems that stumped high school students. Her teachers recommended her for advanced programs, but the gifted education resources in her district were limited and underfunded. Maya's parents made the difficult decision to enroll her in a predominantly white private school across town, using Ruth's employee discount at the university library to afford the tuition. The academic opportunities were better, but Maya quickly learned what it felt like to be the only black student in advanced classes. "Are you sure you belong in AP Calculus?" her guidance counselor asked when Maya was 13 years old. This is typically a senior-level course, and the material can be quite challenging for students who haven't had certain advantages." Maya had already taught herself calculus from library textbooks and was solving differential equations for fun, but she politely took the placement test and scored higher than any student in the school's history. Her math teacher, Mr. Chen, was amazed by Maya's intuitive understanding of complex mathematical concepts. "Maya doesn't just memorize formulas," he told her parents during a conference. "She understands the underlying principles so deeply that she can derive solutions to problems I've never seen before." Throughout high school, Maya continued to excel in every subject, but particularly in mathematics, science, and computer programming. She won state competitions in mathematics and science, earned perfect scores on standardized tests, and was accepted to MIT with a full academic scholarship. College brought new challenges and new forms of discrimination. In her computer science and mathematics courses, Maya was often the only black student and frequently the only woman. Professors sometimes seemed surprised by her contributions to class discussions, and study groups occasionally excluded her under the assumption that she would slow them down. But Maya's work spoke for itself. She consistently scored at the top of her classes, published research as an undergraduate, and earned recognition from faculty who worked with her directly. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her academic advisor, became a crucial mentor who helped Maya navigate the subtle biases of academic culture. "Maya," Dr. Rodriguez told her during her junior year, "you have the kind of mathematical intuition that I see maybe once every few years. Don't let anyone convince you that your success is due to anything other than exceptional talent and hard work." Maya's undergraduate thesis on machine learning algorithms caught the attention of the entire computer science department. She had developed a new approach to predictive modeling that significantly improved accuracy while reducing computational requirements. The work was so advanced that it was immediately published in a top-tier journal, unusual for undergraduate research. Graduate school at MIT was both the most challenging and the most affirming experience of Maya's academic life. Working under Dr. Michael Chen, a renowned expert in artificial intelligence, Maya dove into research that pushed the boundaries of what was possible with data analysis and machine learning. Her doctoral dissertation focused on developing algorithms that could identify patterns in massive datasets that human analysts had missed. The applications were revolutionary, with potential uses in everything from medical diagnosis to financial fraud detection to climate change modeling. Maya's work represents a fundamental shift in how we approach data analysis, Dr. Chen wrote in his recommendation letter. "She doesn't just process information, she sees connections and patterns that reveal insights others miss entirely." Maya's research attracted attention from major technology companies, government agencies, and research institutions around the world. By the time she graduated with her PhD, she had multiple job offers and opportunities to pursue postdoctoral research at prestigious universities. She chose to accept a position at Nexus Research Institute, a cutting-edge technology firm that specialized in developing advanced algorithms for Fortune 500 companies. The position offered her the opportunity to work on real-world problems with significant impact, substantial resources for research, and collaboration with some of the brightest minds in the field. Maya's first day at Nexus was both exciting and intimidating. The company occupied a sleek glass building in Silicon Valley, filled with the latest technology and staffed by PhD-level researchers from around the world. She was assigned to the Advanced Analytics Division, led by Dr. Robert Harrison, a well-respected researcher who had pioneered several important advances in machine learning. During her first team meeting, Maya was introduced to her colleagues, Dr. Kevin Stevens, Dr. James Wilson, Dr. Sarah Chen, and Dr. Ahmed Patel. She was the only black member of the team and one of only 2 women, but she was excited to begin contributing to their research projects. "Dr. Patterson," Dr. Harrison said during the meeting, We're hoping you can bring some fresh perspectives to our current challenges. We've been working on several problems that have proven quite stubborn. Maya spent her first few weeks familiarizing herself with the team's ongoing projects, analyzing their methodologies, and identifying potential areas for improvement. She quickly noticed several approaches that could be optimized and began developing alternative algorithms that might yield better results. Her first major contribution came just 6 weeks into her tenure. The team had been struggling with a client project involving fraud detection for a major bank. Their current algorithm was producing too many false positives, flagging legitimate transactions as potentially fraudulent and creating customer service headaches for the bank. Maya analyzed the existing approach and identified the core problem. The algorithm was treating all variables as equally important, when in reality, certain combinations of factors were much more predictive of actual fraud than others. She developed a new weighting system that prioritized the most significant patterns while reducing sensitivity to less important variations. Maya's modification improved our accuracy rate by 18%, Dr. Harrison announced at the next team meeting. The client is extremely pleased with the results. Dr. Stevens looked surprised. 18%. That's remarkable for such a simple change. Did you just adjust the weighting parameters? Actually, Maya explained, I redesigned the entire prioritization system. The previous algorithm was treating all data points as static variables, but fraud patterns are dynamic. My approach allows the system to learn and adapt based on emerging patterns rather than relying solely on historical data. The room fell silent as her colleagues absorbed the sophistication of what she had accomplished. Dr. Wilson was the first to speak. That's actually quite clever. Did you develop this approach during your graduate work? No, Maya replied. I developed it specifically for this project after analyzing the limitations of the existing system. Dr. Harrison seemed pleased, but also slightly puzzled. Well, it appears we got lucky with your hire, Dr. Patterson. Sometimes a fresh pair of eyes can spot things that the rest of us miss. Maya felt a slight chill at the word lucky, but she dismissed it as an innocent comment. She had proven her value to the team, and she was confident that her contributions would continue to speak for themselves. Over the next several months, Maya consistently delivered innovative solutions to complex problems. She developed a predictive algorithm for supply chain optimization that saved a major retailer $40 million annually. She created a diagnostic tool for medical imaging that increased early detection rates for certain cancers by 25%. She designed a financial modeling system that helped investment firms identify market trends weeks before they became apparent to traditional analysis methods. Each success brought recognition from clients and praise from management. But Maya began to notice a pattern in how her colleagues and supervisors described her achievements. Maya has been quite lucky with her project outcomes, Dr. Harrison mentioned during a quarterly review meeting with senior management. She seems to have a knack for stumbling onto solutions that work. Dr. Stevens echoed similar sentiments when discussing Maya's work with other departments. She's been on quite a lucky streak. Some people just have a gift for being in the right place at the right time with the right idea. Maya initially tried to ignore these comments, focusing instead on the quality of her work and the impact she was having on important projects. But as the pattern continued, she began to realize that her colleagues were attributing her success to luck rather than skill, to chance rather than intelligence. The breaking point came during a high-profile presentation to a potential client, a major pharmaceutical company looking for help with drug development research. Maya had spent months developing an algorithm that could analyze molecular structures and predict potential drug interactions with unprecedented accuracy. The presentation was scheduled for a Tuesday morning, and Maya had prepared extensively. Her algorithm had performed flawlessly in testing, and she was confident that it would impress the pharmaceutical executives and win Nexus a lucrative contract. But the night before the presentation, Dr. Harrison called Maya into his office for an unexpected meeting. "Maya," he said, "I've been thinking about tomorrow's presentation, and I'm concerned about putting you in such a high-pressure situation. This client is extremely important to our company's future, and we can't afford any mistakes." Maya was confused. "Dr. Harrison, I've been preparing for this presentation for weeks. I'm confident in the algorithm and ready to demonstrate its capabilities." Dr. Harrison shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "And I'm sure you are. But I think it might be better if Dr. Stevens takes the lead on this one. He has more experience with pharmaceutical applications, and the client might be more comfortable with his presentation style." Maya felt her stomach drop. Dr. Stevens wasn't involved in developing this algorithm. He doesn't understand the technical details well enough to answer complex questions about its functionality. "That's true, Doctor," Harrison acknowledged. "But you can brief him on the technical aspects, and he can focus on the business applications. Sometimes it's not just about having the right answers, it's about delivering them in a way that resonates with the audience." Maya stared at her supervisor, trying to process what she was hearing. "Dr. Harrison, are you suggesting that I'm not capable of presenting my own research effectively?" "Not incapable," he said quickly. "But this particular client has very traditional expectations. They might be more receptive to Dr. Stevens' approach." The euphemisms were thinly veiled, and Maya understood exactly what Dr. Harrison was really saying. The client might be more comfortable with a white male presenter, regardless of who had actually developed the technology they were evaluating. "Dr. Harrison," Maya said calmly, "this algorithm represents months of my work. I understand every aspect of its development, testing and potential applications. No one is better qualified to present it than I am." Dr. Harrison sighed. "Maya, you've been lucky with your project so far, but this is different. This is a make-or-break opportunity for our company. We need someone with proven presentation skills and established credibility with pharmaceutical clients." There was that word again, lucky. Maya realized that no matter how sophisticated her work, no matter how impressive her results, her colleagues would continue to attribute her success to chance rather than acknowledge her exceptional abilities. "I understand your concerns," Maya said finally. "But I believe I've earned the right to present my own work." Dr. Harrison looked uncomfortable, but firm. "The decision has been made, Maya. Dr. Stevens will handle the presentation, but you'll be there to provide technical support if needed." Maya left the meeting feeling humiliated and frustrated. She had spent months developing groundbreaking technology, only to be relegated to a supporting role because her supervisor didn't believe the client would take her seriously. The next morning's presentation was a disaster. Dr. Stevens, despite Maya's thorough briefing, struggled to explain the algorithm's more sophisticated features. When the pharmaceutical executives asked detailed technical questions, he fumbled for answers and frequently turned to Maya for clarification. "Dr. Patterson," one of the executives said, after Stevens failed to explain a crucial aspect of the algorithm, "perhaps you could walk us through the validation process you use to ensure accuracy." Maya stepped forward and delivered a comprehensive explanation of her testing methodology, demonstrating a depth of understanding that Stevens clearly lacked. For the next 20 minutes, the executives directed their questions exclusively to Maya, recognizing that she was the true expert on the technology they were considering. After the presentation, the pharmaceutical executives requested a follow-up meeting specifically with Maya to discuss implementation details. Despite Dr. Stevens' poor performance, they were impressed by the sophistication of the algorithm and Maya's obvious expertise. "Dr. Patterson," the lead executive said as they were leaving, This is exactly the kind of innovative thinking we need for our research challenges. We'd like to schedule a technical deep dive session with you next week. Dr. Harrison was pleased with the client's interest, but frustrated by how the presentation had unfolded. In his mind, Maya's success was once again a matter of luck rather than skill. "Well," he told Dr. Stevens after the clients left, "it seems Maya got lucky again. Sometimes clients just click with certain presenters for unpredictable reasons." Maya overheard the comment and felt something inside her snap. She had reached her limit of having her intelligence, her training, and her hard work dismissed as luck. That evening, Maya began working on something that would change everything. She decided to compile a comprehensive analysis of her work at Nexus, documenting not just her successes, but the specific methodologies, innovations, and problem-solving approaches that had led to those successes. If her colleagues wanted to attribute her achievements to luck, she would present them with facts so undeniable that they would be forced to acknowledge the truth. Have you ever faced situations where you had to prove your worth because of prejudices? Share in the comments how you overcame or are overcoming these challenges. Your story can inspire others. Maya spent the next 3 months compiling what she privately called the evidence. Working evenings and weekends, she created a detailed analysis of every project she had worked on since joining Nexus, documenting her specific contributions and their measurable impacts. The document was a masterpiece of data analysis and scientific rigor. For each project, Maya provided a comprehensive breakdown of the problem the team had faced, including previous failed attempts at solutions, a detailed explanation of her analytical approach, including the specific algorithms, methodologies, and innovations she had developed, quantitative measurements of improvement, including percentage increases in accuracy, efficiency, or cost savings, comparative analysis showing how her solutions outperformed existing approaches, technical documentation proving that her innovations were novel contributions to the field, not lucky guesses or simple modifications of existing systems. The pharmaceutical project became a case study in the document. Maya demonstrated that her algorithm didn't just happen to work, it represented a fundamental advancement in how molecular analysis could be approached. She showed that her success wasn't luck, but the result of identifying mathematical relationships that other researchers had missed. For the fraud detection project, she provided evidence that her approach had not only improved immediate results, but had continued to learn and adapt, maintaining superior performance over time. She documented how her dynamic learning system was fundamentally different from static approaches that other team members preferred. The supply chain optimization project revealed that Maya had identified patterns in global shipping and manufacturing data that had never been recognized before. Her algorithm didn't just predict future trends, it explained why those trends occurred, providing insights that help the client make strategic decisions beyond just operational improvements. Maya's analysis revealed something that even she hadn't fully appreciated. Her contributions represented not just successful solutions to individual problems, but a consistent pattern of innovative thinking that advanced the entire field of data science. But the document was more than just a compilation of her achievements. Maya included a statistical analysis of team performance that revealed troubling patterns in how credit was distributed and opportunities were assigned. She documented that her project success rate was 43% higher than the team average. Her innovations had generated over $60 million in client savings and new revenue for Nexus. Her research had been cited in 17 peer-reviewed publications by other researchers. Yet she had been passed over for leadership opportunities, excluded from high-profile presentations, and consistently described in terms that minimized her contributions. Maya also analyzed the language used to describe team members, work in official reports and communications. She found that her male colleagues' successes were attributed to expertise, insight, and innovation, while her identical achievements were described as lucky, fortunate, or the result of fresh perspectives. The statistical analysis was damning. Maya's work was being systematically undervalued despite objective evidence of its superiority. As Maya compiled her evidence, word spread about her latest project, developing a comprehensive AI system for climate change modeling. The project, dubbed Project Genesis, represented the most ambitious research initiative in Nexus's history, with potential applications that could influence global environmental policy. Maya had conceived the project, developed the initial algorithms, and solved several fundamental challenges that had prevented previous attempts at large-scale climate modeling. Her work was attracting attention from government agencies, environmental organizations, and research institutions around the world. But when it came time to assign a lead researcher for the project's next phase, Dr. Harrison made the decision that would finally force Maya to reveal her evidence. He assigned Dr. Stevens to lead the project, despite Stevens having contributed minimally to its development. The email announcing the decision used language that Maya had come to recognize as both insulting and revealing. Dr. Stevens will benefit from the lucky breakthroughs you've achieved so far. Maya knew that this was her moment. She requested a meeting with Dr. Harrison, ostensibly to discuss the transition of her research materials to Dr. Stevens, but she had a different agenda entirely. Dr. Harrison, Maya said as she entered his office carrying a thick binder. I wanted to discuss some concerns I have about the Project Genesis transition. Dr. Harrison looked up from his computer, clearly expecting a routine handover meeting. Of course, Maya, I appreciate you being professional about this decision. I know it's disappointing, but Dr. Stevens has the experience needed to take this project to the next level. Maya sat down and placed the binder on his desk. Before we discuss the transition, I'd like to share some analysis I've been working on. I think you'll find it relevant to understanding the true scope and complexity of Project Genesis. Dr. Harrison opened the binder and immediately saw that this was not a simple project summary. The first page was titled Comprehensive Analysis of Research Contributions and Methodological Innovations at Nexus Research Institute. Maya, he said slowly, what exactly is this? It's a data-driven analysis of team performance, project outcomes, and research contributions, Maya replied calmly. I thought it might help inform future project assignments and leadership decisions. Dr. Harrison began reading, and his expression changed as he absorbed the scope and detail of Maya's analysis. Page after page of charts, graphs, statistical comparisons, and technical documentation painted a picture that was impossible to ignore. This says that your projects have generated $60 million in measurable value for our clients, he said, looking up at Maya with surprise. That's correct, Maya confirmed, and that figure only includes quantifiable savings and revenue. It doesn't account for the long-term strategic advantages that several clients have gained from implementing my algorithms. Dr. Harrison continued reading, his discomfort growing as he encountered Maya's analysis of language patterns and opportunity distribution. When he reached the section documenting how her work was consistently described as lucky, despite its sophisticated methodology, he stopped reading entirely. Maya, he said carefully, what are you hoping to accomplish with this analysis? Maya leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. Dr. Harrison, I'm hoping to establish a factual basis for understanding my contributions to this team and this company. For 3 years, my work has been consistently attributed to luck, chance, or fortunate circumstances. This analysis demonstrates that my success is the result of systematic innovation, rigorous methodology, and insights that advance the field of data science. She turned to a specific section of the document. For example, the climate modeling breakthrough that forms the foundation of Project Genesis wasn't a lucky discovery. It was the result of identifying mathematical relationships that other researchers had overlooked, developing novel algorithms to exploit those relationships, and creating validation systems to prove their effectiveness. Dr. Harrison stared at the evidence in front of him, clearly struggling with how to respond. The data was overwhelming and undeniable. "Maya," he said finally, "I think there may have been some misunderstandings about how your work has been perceived. Your contributions have been valued and recognized." Maya opened to another section of her analysis. "Dr. Harrison, this chart shows how team members' achievements are described in official company communications. The language used to describe my work is consistently different from the language used to describe identical achievements by my colleagues." She pointed to specific examples. When Dr. Stevens developed an optimization algorithm that improved efficiency by 8%. It was described as innovative problem-solving and expert analysis. When I developed an algorithm that improved efficiency by 24%, it was described as fortunate insights and beneficial outcomes. The evidence was irrefutable, and Dr. Harrison knew it. He closed the binder and looked at Maya with what appeared to be genuine discomfort. "Maya, I want you to know that any perception that your work isn't fully appreciated is not intentional. You're a valued member of this team." "Dr. Harrison," Maya replied, "I'm not questioning your intentions. I'm presenting evidence that demonstrates a pattern of systematic undervaluation that has real consequences for my career and for the quality of research this company produces." She leaned forward slightly. "Project Genesis is my research. I conceived it, developed the foundational algorithms, and solved the technical challenges that made it viable. Reassigning it to Dr. Stevens doesn't just affect me personally, it affects the quality and direction of the research itself." Dr. Harrison was quiet for several minutes, clearly processing the implications of what Maya was showing him. Finally, he spoke. "Maya, what would you like to see happen?" Maya had prepared for this question. "I want to lead Project Genesis myself. I want recognition for my innovations that accurately reflects their sophistication and impact. And I want this company to implement processes that ensure research credit is distributed based on actual contributions rather than unconscious biases." Dr. Harrison nodded slowly. "Let me review this analysis more thoroughly and discuss it with senior management. Can we schedule a follow-up meeting for later this week?" Maya stood up, leaving the binder on his desk. "Of course. But Dr. Harrison, I want to be clear about something. This isn't just about my career or my feelings. This is about scientific integrity and the most effective use of human resources. When brilliant work is attributed to luck, it becomes impossible to replicate or build upon. When researchers are undervalued because of bias rather than performance, everyone suffers." She paused at the door. "The facts speak for themselves. The question is whether this institution is committed to following the evidence wherever it leads." Maya left Dr. Harrison's office knowing that she had presented an argument so comprehensive and data-driven that it would be impossible to ignore. She had moved beyond asking for recognition. She had demanded it with evidence so compelling that any rational response would have to acknowledge her exceptional contributions. The next few days were tense as word spread through the research division that Maya had compiled extensive documentation about team performance and project outcomes. Her colleagues seemed uncertain about how to interpret this development, and Maya noticed subtle changes in how they interacted with her. Dr. Stevens approached her during lunch on Wednesday. "Maya, I heard you've been working on some kind of comprehensive analysis. Is everything okay?" Maya looked at him directly. "Everything is fine, Kevin. I've simply been documenting the research contributions that various team members have made. It's important to have accurate records for performance evaluations and future project planning." Dr. Stevens seemed nervous. Right, of course. I just want you to know that I've always respected your work. If there have been any misunderstandings about contributions or credit, I'm sure we can work them out. Maya smiled politely. I appreciate that, Kevin. I think clear documentation will help ensure that everyone's contributions are properly recognized going forward. On Friday afternoon, Dr. Harrison called Maya into his office for their follow-up meeting. This time, Dr. Elizabeth Warren, the Vice President of Research, was also present. Maya, Dr. Warren said, Dr. Harrison has shared your analysis with me, and I have to say, it's quite impressive. Both the quality of the research documentation and the insights it provides about our team dynamics. Maya sat down, unsure of what to expect from this meeting. Dr. Harrison leaned forward. Maya, after reviewing your analysis thoroughly, we've made several decisions. First, you will be reassigned as the lead researcher for Project Genesis, effective immediately. Maya felt a wave of relief and vindication, but she kept her expression neutral. Dr. Warren continued. Second, we're implementing new protocols for documenting and crediting research contributions. Your analysis revealed some concerning patterns that we need to address systematically. And third, Dr. Harrison added, we'd like to offer you a promotion to Senior Research Director with responsibility for developing best practices for research attribution and team leadership across all our divisions. Maya was stunned. She had expected to fight for recognition of her existing work, not to be offered expanded responsibilities and a leadership role. Dr. Warren, she said carefully, I'm interested in these opportunities, but I want to understand what changes you're implementing to ensure that this situation doesn't happen to other researchers. Dr. Warren pulled out a document and handed it to Maya. We're establishing a research integrity committee that will review all major project assignments and ensure that leadership roles are assigned based on demonstrated expertise and contribution rather than subjective factors. We're also implementing standardized language for describing research achievements to eliminate the kind of bias your analysis revealed. Dr. Harrison nodded. Maya, your documentation showed us problems we didn't even know we had. Your approach to analyzing team dynamics was as sophisticated as your approach to client problems. Maya reviewed the proposal, impressed by its comprehensiveness. What about Project Genesis specifically? What authority would I have to direct the research and set priorities? Complete authority, Dr. Warren replied. You'll have a budget of $15 million, a team of 12 researchers, and direct access to senior management for strategic decisions. Maya looked at both administrators and Dr. Stevens. Dr. Harrison shifted slightly. Dr. Stevens will remain a valuable member of the team, working under your direction on aspects of the project that match his expertise. Maya realized that she had achieved something unprecedented. Not only had she proven her worth with undeniable evidence, but she had forced institutional changes that would benefit other researchers who might face similar challenges. I accept the position, she said, but I have one additional request. Dr. Warren raised an eyebrow. What's that? I want to publish a case study about this experience, Maya said, not to embarrass anyone, but to provide other researchers with a model for documenting and addressing bias in research environments. Dr. Harrison looked uncomfortable, but Dr. Warren nodded approvingly. Maya, that's exactly the kind of leadership we need in this position. Academic institutions and research companies across the country struggle with these issues. Your approach could help them develop better systems. 6 months later, Dr. Maya Patterson was leading the most successful research project in Nexus's history. Project Genesis had already produced 3 major breakthroughs in climate modeling, attracted $40 million in government funding, and generated interest from research institutions worldwide. Maya's team had grown to include some of the brightest young researchers in the field, many of them women and minorities who were attracted by the opportunity to work in an environment where their contributions would be accurately recognized and fairly credited. The Research Integrity Committee that Maya had helped establish was already making a difference throughout the company. Several promising researchers who had previously been overlooked were now leading their own projects, and the quality of research output had increased measurably. Maya's case study, titled Evidence-Based Advocacy, Using Data to Address Bias in Research Environments, was published in the Journal of Research Administration and quickly became one of the most cited articles in the field. Universities and research institutions across the country began implementing similar protocols for ensuring equitable research attribution. But perhaps the most satisfying moment came during the annual Company Research Symposium, where Maya presented the latest results from Project Genesis to an audience of colleagues, clients, and industry leaders. Dr. Patterson's work represents a fundamental advancement in our understanding of climate systems, Dr. Warren said in her introduction. Her innovative algorithms and methodological insights have opened new possibilities for environmental research and policy development. As Maya took the stage, she thought about the journey that had brought her to this moment. She had faced discrimination, had her intelligence questioned, and had her achievements attributed to luck. But she had responded with facts, evidence, and unwavering commitment to scientific integrity. Her presentation that day was a masterpiece of clear communication and technical sophistication. She explained complex algorithms in terms that non-experts could understand while providing enough detail to satisfy the most demanding specialists. When the presentation ended, the applause was sustained and enthusiastic. During the question and answer session, a young black woman in the audience raised her hand. Dr. Patterson, what advice would you give to researchers who feel that their contributions aren't being properly recognized? Maya smiled, remembering her own struggles just a year earlier. My advice is to document everything. Keep detailed records of your contributions, your methodologies, and your results. Don't rely on others to recognize your worth. Build a case so compelling that recognition becomes inevitable. She paused, looking out at the diverse audience that included many young researchers who were just beginning their careers. And remember that your success isn't just about you. Every barrier you break down, every bias you challenge with evidence, every standard you raise makes it easier for the next person who looks like you to be taken seriously from the start. After the symposium, Dr. Stevens approached Maya in the lobby. Maya, I owe you an apology. I didn't realize how much I had contributed to the problems you faced. Your presentation today was incredible, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with you on Project Genesis. Maya appreciated his honesty. Kevin, I think we all learned something from this experience. The important thing is that we use what we've learned to create better opportunities for everyone. Maya's transformation from undervalued researcher to celebrated leader became a model for other institutions grappling with similar challenges. Her approach of using rigorous data analysis to document and address bias was adopted by research organizations, universities, and technology companies across the country. The young woman who had been told her intelligence was just luck had proven that genius, hard work, and systematic innovation could overcome even the most entrenched prejudices. But more importantly, she had created systems and procedures that would prevent other talented researchers from facing the same obstacles she had overcome. Project Genesis continued to produce groundbreaking results, attracting international attention and establishing Maya as one of the leading experts in computational environmental science. Her research was being used by governments, environmental organizations, and policymakers around the world to address climate change challenges. Dr. Maya Patterson's story became a case study taught in business schools and research administration programs. illustrating how systematic bias could undermine even the most sophisticated organizations, and how evidence-based advocacy could create lasting change. The woman who had once seen her achievements dismissed as luck had become a leader whose work was recognized for its true value, the product of exceptional intelligence, rigorous methodology, and innovative thinking that advanced entire fields of human knowledge. Maya's office wall now displayed her numerous awards and recognitions, but the item she treasured most was a handwritten note from her father. "I always knew you would change the world, Maya. I just didn't know you would do it by proving that intelligence and hard work can overcome any prejudice." Today, Dr. Maya Patterson continues to lead groundbreaking research while mentoring the next generation of scientists and advocating for evidence-based approaches to addressing bias in academic and research settings. Her story serves as proof that when faced with those who would diminish our achievements, the most powerful response is not anger or resignation, but facts so compelling that they force the world to see the truth. She had proven that luck had nothing to do with her success, and in doing so, she had opened doors for countless others who would follow in her footsteps. The young woman whose intelligence had been questioned had become a leader whose insights were reshaping how we understand and address some of the most complex challenges facing humanity. Dr. Maya Patterson didn't just prove her critics wrong. She used facts and evidence to transform entire systems, ensuring that future generations of researchers would be judged by the quality of their work rather than the prejudices of those around them. And in the end, that may be the most important breakthrough of all.